There you go. So let me know when we're ready to go so I can flip the page.
Is everyone feeling comfortable with this interface so we can go ahead and call the meeting to order? I know it's going to take a little trial and error for some of us, but are we seeing and hearing what we expect to?
This is Rachel Ayala. I am.
Excellent.
I guess the others need to let you know also.
Okay, well, it's 5:31, and I'd like to call a meeting of the Brownsville Public Library System Advisory Board to order here Monday, February 8th. Thank you all for joining us. The first order of business that we have on our agenda is the discussion and action for the approval of last meeting minutes. Did anyone have any questions or comments about the January 11th meeting minutes?
I don't have any questions. This is Rachel Ayala.
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Any questions from anyone else?
Shannon,
Okay.
real quick, if I can, just as the host, for everybody on the meeting, at the bottom of your screen, you have a mute and unmute button. If it's green, we're able to hear you. If that's red, we can't hear you. So you control muting and unmuting on your own side. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Yes, and some folks have also found the reactions button down here on that same toolbar. There's a happy face, and you can signal thumbs up or smiley face as you're following along as well. Okay, then if we don't have any questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the January 11th, 2021 minutes?
Yes, I make motion.
Okay, Ms. Sosa makes a motion. Anyone want to second that motion?
I second that motion.
Great, thanks so much. All in favor of approving the minutes, go ahead and send a reaction or say yes. Excellent. So I see that we've got thumbs up. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next order of business on our agenda today is that we received the resignation of Mrs. Rose Lehman from the Public Libraries Advisory Board on January 26, 2021. So I want to let all of you know about this resignation. Mrs. Lehman had been on the board for a very long time, many years of service. Juan, did you have anything that you want to say, or did anyone have any comments about her resignation? Obviously, this leaves an opening on the board that will need to be filled.
The only thing I have to add is that it's sad to see her go, but she expressed that she needed to move on, and she was kind enough to send the resignation to myself and yourself. We're gonna miss her.
This is Rachel Ayala. I would like to thank her for her service. My question is, how are we going to fill in this position? What will be the process?
The process, it's I need to discuss with City Secretary. Her term were to be expired at the end of the year. We need to discuss to see if we open it in June for the commission only hears board appointments in June or December. And if they say it is in June, is it for only 6 months or do we go a new cycle? But I'll let the board know on the next meeting of that answer, Ms. Ayala.
The question is, Mr. Guerra, I know the board has to approve. My question is, do they go ahead and submit, those that are interested, the application like we did online to be chosen? Or
Yes.
can we recommend someone? What is the process? Please guide me.
Yes, I don't know if the board recommends, the board can suggest for them to apply at the city website. I think there's that applications are always allowed or can submit at any time, and the city secretary keeps those applications when a position opens. You can always submit at any time.
Okay, I know we can submit anytime, but that was not my question.
And
Is
what
that
you,
the process that we're going to use again? That if we know somebody that's interested, to go ahead and go to the website,
yes.
and have you decided what the timeline is going to be for those people to apply?
Again, I'll get back to you on that one. I don't know if we're gonna do it in June, or we can do it, do an exception with the commission and do it in the next couple of board meetings, commission meetings. I'll get back with you on that. Again, it's something new, but I'll ask some guidance from the city secretary to see if we can do an exception, since it was a resignation, do an exception to have applicants apply and go for nomination.
So, Mr. Aguirre, again, how long is this going to take? If we knew she was going to resign, why didn't we check the process ahead of time? Do we wait till another meeting, or do we wait for you to let us know?
I can let you know at any time by email. She just resigned a couple of weeks ago, so we wanted to first let the board know. Again, there's always applicants available in the city secretary website, and I can let you know. It doesn't have to be a board meeting. I can let you know as soon as I can find out. I first have to bring it to the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Guetta. In the meantime, do you think it's maybe advisable if we do have some folks that we think would be good to serve to go ahead and submit their applications in advance?
Most definitely, the sooner the better, because if the city secretary, if we are able to do this, or we can, I don't know, I think it's too late for the February 16th for me, but the beginning of the March, we can have, if allowed, or if we are able to do it, then most definitely, yes.
Mr. Guerra, that's exactly my point right now. That if we knew it a couple of weeks ago, then they should have been checked with the city commission so we could have been prepared and not have to wait another month to try to appoint someone. But I'm sure that will be smoother in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll just wait for right now, and so we can't do anything until the next meeting, and time is going by.
You can already recommend.
Sorry, Ms. Ayala. So board appointments are done by the city commission the months of December and July. Ms. Lehman just submitted her resignation at the end of January, so there was no way that we would have known. Normally, they've tried to streamline the process so that we only have to do board appointments twice a year. Usually what will happen is either that position will remain vacant. You still have plenty of other slots that are filled so that you fulfill a quorum. There might be an exception, but we can consider it for the next city commission meeting.
Okay, I see. So I did not know you only appointed once a year. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Twice a year. It's in December and in July, but normally because a person's term at the library is on a calendar year, we'll do library appointments in December.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And again, we're sorry to see Mrs. Lehman go. Moving on to number 4, this is our time for citizen comment. Juan, Maribel, did anyone submit a request for public comment?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a public comment. Ms. Golonsky will be has a public comment for us.
Excellent.
Whenever you're ready, Ms. Golonsky.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there. Let me see if I can turn on my video so that y'all can see me. Okay. Well, it's nice to see you all. Sorry, it's nice to see you all, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I didn't know how to comment, but this is what I wanted to say. First and foremost, I'm very excited about the direction that this board is taking. The past few months, I've seen a lot of progress that has been made in spite of the pandemic. The utilization study that was prepared is very insightful and useful. I also appreciate the improvements that were made to the Southmost branch. And I find some of the new programs and services that are offered to be very appealing. Most recently, I got excited about the staff picks. And I actually recognize the title. Not that I've read it, but I'll try. To that end, I look forward to seeing what happens in 2021. I've really appreciated staff's programs to engage the community. I was there for the little bit of the Santa drive-through, and I thought that was really nice. With regard to today's agenda, I was happy to see the LSTA Texas Reads Grant, One Book, One Community. Coincidentally, a couple of weeks ago, I was listening to Dallas's NPR station and learned that the Irving Public Library was kicking off its NEA Big Read, which I think is more or less based on the same concept as the One Book, One Community. At a future Library Advisory Board meeting, I would like to discuss the possibility of the Brownsville Public Library joining with other local organizations to apply for the NEA Big Read Grant when the next cycle is announced in the fall, which I think is going to be in October. On a similar note, the past 4 or 5 years, I have volunteered or participated in the Texas Book Festival, and each year I've hoped to see the Brownsville Public Library as one of the recipients for their library grants. The 2021 grant cycle is now open, and the deadline to apply is Saturday, May 15th. In 2020, the Laguna Vista Public Library received one of these grants. The purpose of this grant is to support collection enhancement. I hope we can consider having the Brownsville Public Library apply for this cycle. Finally, I recently learned about the Dollar General Literacy Foundation. They have a February 18th grant application deadline for projects or ideas that facilitate adult literacy, family literacy, and summer reading. On March 11th, they will open grant applications for youth literacy. Opportunities like these motivate us to strive for more and do more for our community. I realize that it takes a lot of effort to apply for grants and then fulfill reporting requirements if the grant is awarded. But partnerships like this is what we need in Brownsville, and we cannot do it alone. The future looks bright. I'm really excited that that we're going to have the presentation of the story trail, and there's a way to connect the libraries with Parks and Recreation now that the second phase of the Southmost Trail is going to connect the Southmost Library to Garza Elementary. So I really like the momentum that I see happening now at the library. And maybe it's always been there. I just have only recently become engaged with y'all. So that's exciting to me. The future looks bright, and I'm very encouraged to see what's happening at the Brownsville Public Library.
Madam Chair, that's time limit.
Oops.
Thank you for the reminder there, and thank you so much for the comments. Was there anything else that you want to say real quickly, Ms. Golonsky, since you are a member of our commission?
No, just that I really commend you all for your momentum, and I look forward to seeing everyone's input and seeing how it unfolds. So congratulations to you all. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much for joining us and for your well wishes. And these are great ideas about grant opportunities. And certainly you mentioned, grant management, but thankfully I believe there is a system in place with the city of Brownsville and folks who could help us manage those types of things if that were something that we move forward on. So thanks so much. Any other public comments that we had registered? Just the one?
Yes, ma'am. It was just the one.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. So agenda number 5 is really, item number 5 is just a reminder that we do need to complete the Open Meetings Act training. And I would encourage existing members of the board to also complete this training. It is insightful. Plan to go ahead and set aside 45 minutes to an hour of your time to view the recording and do the follow-up certification, and then email that certification so that we have it on record. Were there any questions at this time about how to access that Open Meeting Act training, or anyone have any experience? I took it. It was very smooth for me to run through the YouTube video. Thank you, Ms. Flores Feist. Okay, if there aren't any questions about that, then we'll move on to item number 6. Mr. Guerra has the library director's report for us.
Good evening, everyone. We are continuing to provide various programs, virtual programs. We continue to provide our curbside pickup at both our Cosmos and main libraries. Some of these virtual programs include Take and Make Crafts, Let's Get Cooking, English and Spanish story times, and do-it-yourself crafts. Recently, we also partnered with Dr. Ruben Balboa to do a virtual presentation of National Viola Day. In addition, both Southmont and Main Branch continue to provide outreach, Take and Make crafts for daycares and Head Starts. Lastly, we're providing services to students through a Checkout a Librarian program to do virtual story time, career exploration, and assistance in test prep for elementary, middle school, and high school students. We also started an adult creative program targeting nursing homes and adult daycare. This program's main goal is to focus on bringing out creativity of our senior citizens. We started providing crafts to motivate their creative talents. As the pandemic continues, we would like to motivate and encourage their skills. Future activities include the process of obtaining virtual library card using Access 360 to the checkout of ebooks, and having access to some of our digital library resources. So far, we had a great feedback from a nursing home and adult daycare. The other thing I want to talk about is the MOU between the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Housing Authority regarding the creation of Bibliotech Brownsville Satellites was approved by both our City Commission and the Brownsville Housing Authority Board. The satellites will be at the Poinciana Gardens, Buena Vida Choice and Vision Centers, and Trail Village. This will also take into consideration the future bibliothèque sites in the Southwest area. Last week, we actually had another meeting to discuss the next step in this partnership. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
On two things. On the library utilization and services, I'm very happy to see that we're doing some progress. I would like to know if you went ahead and contacted the Brownsville Independent School District to make sure that they're getting full utilization of the services that we provide both in the Central and the Southwest Library. I did talk to you before about contacting Ms. Dr. Ude with BISD. And Mr. Guerra, how are we communicating with BISD and given the information of services that we are providing in both areas?
We try, that's going to be on the future agenda, and Mr. Chase can provide you more information. I did try to contact me today, but honestly, I do not have her contact information. You promised you were going to give me her contact information. And so can you provide me that contact information? But Chase will bring you more information on the future of how we can communicate regarding BISD and the resources. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, I am too. I wish you had called me and I would have emailed you the number immediately.
Okay.
Because I did contact them. I did contact the assistant superintendent, Dr. Dora Sauceda, and she referred me to Dr. Ude, and he was very agreeable because I'm so glad, especially during this pandemic, that we can make it as easy as we can for the kids and for the teachers.
I agree.
Thank you very much. And then on the MOU with Housing Authority, unfortunately, this happened before I was on the board. And I know that we will consider, this was a grant, other areas for housing authorities. I was a little bit concerned that in the one that was placed, I don't know which one is the one on International. Which side is that?
On International, that's not part of this site. I think the closer one to Southwest would be the Buena Vida. Buena Vida is in the corner of 14th Street and Roosevelt, I believe.
Okay, yes, that's the one I'm referring to. And I'm glad that I have a little bit of insight into BIS because, we closed all those schools, Resaca, all of those, because the movement of students has moved. So I hope they utilize it. but they closed Resaca, they closed Canales because of the movement. It's an older generation. We don't have enough kids here. But thank you so much that we continue doing this.
Yeah, and to add, I think Victoria Heights was also closed. Yeah.
Yes, they all went to Canales.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions about the library director's report?
In the library director's report, am I going to get on the agenda was what I requested put on there?
What was it?
I sent in the library on the director's report. I had requested a uh, a breakdown of the budget for the southmost, and I know you sent me the budget. Thank you very much. But you sent me everything together. What I requested was a breakdown what the goals and what goals were attained for the southmost, what goals were attained for the central library. So when we get started on this committee that we're trying to form, we already have the information and guide us as to what needs to be done.
Yes, ma'am. And that's in the future agenda item. I would like to, it was
Okay,
broken down individually.
thank you. Thank
You're
you. I
welcome.
only see part of the agenda. That's why.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Yes, we have you on agenda items 11 through 12, so we can address your questions about BISD as well as the other items that you requested for the agenda regarding the budget breakdown, the entrance, accessibility, all of those things that you suggested, they have been added to 11 and 12.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
heard the agenda. It's my fault. And I'm only seeing what we're discussing now.
Thanks so much for speaking up, though. I appreciate that. So we do need to address the task force that Mrs. Ayala and Mr. Guerra brought up. So last meeting, we voted to form this task force. We agreed to 7 members, but we didn't get a chance to really talk about the scope and the charge of the task force, the process for how members would be joining, the timeline for that period of application or appointment, as well as a timeline for the review of these applicants and a period for their service. So that said, one, I hope that you can remind the board about the intention behind establishing the community task force as part of the library strategic plan. Is that correct?
Yes, and I believe Mr. Rodriguez will be highlighting those points to be more exact with a presentation that they can see on the board, just to remind the board. Mr. Leo?
Thank you, Mr. Guerra. Good afternoon, everybody. We will be here by Marian at the Southern Front Library. And thank you very much, first of all, for the time today. And
Leo, we're having some issues hearing you. Sorry to interrupt. We're having some issues hearing you. You sound
Mumbled.
a bit muffled.
Very low.
Leo, go ahead. No. Okay, so let me just highlight, the task force was created to have some applicants from a different point of view to improve our services at our Southmost Library. And that way it affords the opportunity to provide, give us input as to how we can improve our services from an outside point of view that perhaps we did not see. And this task force is going to report directly to the library board, not to the library administration. That in a nutshell is what it is. Basically another group that can help us to provide better services for the library in Brownsville and the Southmost area. Basically in a nutshell.
Okay, and so I'm sorry. So are we wanting this library task force with this initial formation to focus on Southmost or the system as a whole?
Preferably the southmost, but obviously they can go into the main because we're serving the whole city. But it was created more for the southmost. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
So last time, Leo, our librarian there, he demonstrated a process for application that could be submitted online. It looked very similar to the application that we completed to serve as members of the library board. So something that's accessible and gets contact information, as well as experiential information. Is that correct? Professional experience and things like that. And so there is this opportunity to solicit applications, or we had also discussed having appointments, because we did at the end of the meeting have some suggestions for people who might be ideal members. So I'd like to ask the board, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think we could have applications that we review and decide on together as a board, those folks that we would like to serve as task force members. Certainly, though, there is an opportunity for us to maybe, directly invite people for appointment. And it would not necessarily have to be exclusive of an application. So what are folks thinking about that?
I thought we were doing both. But there should probably be a designated time to do recommendations and also accept applications.
Okay, so then you thought that we would do recommendations for people to go ahead and submit their application, and then we could review them, or?
Yeah, I don't always like to say like, oh, well, this is who I think should be, because then you're excluding maybe other people that might be interested. So I always feel like we should definitely publicize that and simultaneously review applications, or I guess like nominations or people that we suggested that would be a good fit for the task, or at least would be willing to participate. I think we should just create basically a time frame for that to happen. So when are they going to be posted? How long will it be posted for? And once we receive them, I guess we can review those along with the applications that were, or I don't know if you want to call them nominations, or does that make sense?
Yes, I think that terminology makes sense. So nominations versus applicants at large, right?
Yes, yes. I think we should just put it up where that people can apply, and then once that's closed, then we can review those along with the nominations. I think that would be fair.
Yes.
I have a question. Would the nominations also be required to submit the application so we can see what the recommendations qualifications are also? And so we can see everything at the same time. Because the fact that we recommend them doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be on the committee, in all fairness to everybody.
Yes, so whoever is going to be nominated will also submit an application as well.
That so we can be equal.
Yes.
I that point as well, because I mean that way everybody can see what are the qualifications are of the nominations as well. But I definitely agree with that. So I like that idea.
So do I. Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like what we're agreeing to then is that everyone will go through an application process, and that as board members, we can encourage folks that we think would be ideal nominees to apply, and that we will do our best to promote enfranchisement and application among the general public.
The only thing we have to determine now is the timeline.
Right. So what we need to determine then, we were trying to move quickly on this before, which was to have the task force in place by the end of March. And so if we are to have them in place that quickly, we would need to move very quickly through this application and review process.
Okay.
Well, would a 2-week month of February, would that be enough, or 2 weeks application? We have some recommendations, or is it too quick? Will it be posted on the website for the city so everybody can see, at least give them a 2-week window to apply?
Leo, I think you can maybe speak to that, or Juan. I know that Leo was demonstrating to us last meeting. There was an application that was, I'm not sure that if it was live or just in test, but it was through the library's website or the city of Brownsville site.
Right. Hi, everybody again. Leo here. Yes, Shannon, thank you for that. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So yes, so we have the option to, like Shannon said, it's an office form that acts as an application that can be posted to the library's page. So anybody that is on the library website can see it and submit their application, and then we can send those for review for you guys to look over. And the application is not live at this moment. It is just under test.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So it looks like things are in place. We just need to determine when to open it up and for how long we want those applications to be open for submission. Does anyone on the board have a recommendation, Mrs. Ayala? It sounded like you were hoping that maybe we could get this done in time for the March meeting. Is that correct? To review them ahead of our March meeting?
If we can go ahead, I don't know how quickly Leo could post it, and to go ahead, because we already recommended some people. And the only, well, we need to make sure though that it's put on the city, not just the library, so people can know that we do have some openings right now, if that's possible, Leo.
Yes, Ms. Ayala, we can get in touch with the city of Brownsville and the website development team and see if we can post it to the city of Brownsville website as well.
This week?
It's up to you. If you decide on that, we can move forward and we can see about putting it up as soon as possible.
And which, now the only thing we need to determine is that and how long do we want to leave it open so we can make the March meeting? Till the end of February?
Right. So if we were able to get it open by the end of this week, that would be, February 15th at the latest to have this thing live. Then unfortunately, February is an abbreviated month. So we would want, I would think, to have it open for at least, 2 full weeks. So that would just take it through, let's see here, February 26th. What do we, yeah, that's exactly what Ms. Flores Feist has here, that applications could go in for a week and then reviewed the following week? Or do we want to have them open for 2 weeks and review them the week before we're set to meet again?
I think we can open, as far as the library website, we can open it as soon as tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And we work on the city, maybe it'll be tomorrow too. And that way we do it until the 19th, and then we have the whole week of the 26th to review.
That's an excellent idea, Mr. Guerra. The sooner the better.
The sooner the better.
We can contact the people that we recommended.
Okay, then we'll need to take action on that. So does anyone have a motion for applications opening up starting tomorrow through the 19th, with reviewing the applications through the week of the 26th?
I, Rachel Ayala, make a motion that we open up the application effective tomorrow if possible.
And Ms. Flores, does this seem like something you'll second? I see your comments going here. Is everyone in favor of these dates?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 19th through the 26th.
Yes, so the application period would begin tomorrow, the 9th. It would run through the 19th, which is a Friday. Then applications could be reviewed the week of the 22nd through the 26th.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so we have our timelines for application, timeline for review. And so one of the other things that we discussed was the period of service for the task force members. Did anyone on the board have an idea about a length of service, a period of service?
Since we are new at this, can the period of that we need them be determined at a later date because we really don't know what they're going to be facing at this point in time? Or do we just make a motion to be considered if it needs to be extended?
We originally had discussed waiting, but that I feel that the period of service could be a determining factor for whether people want to participate or not. Because I think some folks are willing to maybe commit 3 months or 6 months, but maybe they're not prepared to commit to a longer term. That was my only concern. But I defer to you all.
I would recommend that. I think that people need to have a deadline or like a timeline so they know what it is. Because not only that, they need to know what they want to accomplish. Because you can start a project or have an idea, but if you don't have a deadline to execute it, or at least know that, hey, we have to present this to the board by a certain time, I think that it's likely to just fall apart and prolong, and you won't be able to accomplish what it was that you're supposed to in the first place. So I think a timeline is crucial for applicants to understand when they're committing themselves to do something, especially if they're not getting like paid for it. So
I think maybe the appointment of the length of service, maybe we could start off at 3 months with the possibility of extension. I mean, would that be something that we could do if need be?
I like that. Mr. Leo, what are you recommending as far as what you think? Is 3 months feasible and then extend if necessary? But I agree, it should have to be short term to accomplish as much as we can.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gonzalez, and thank you, Ms. Ayala. Yes, we do also recommend at least about a 2 to 3 month service time for the task force members. And if it is, if you are available to extending it if need be, then that could work out too. And I think we can also maybe try to maybe map out how many times they should meet. Just so they can have a better idea as far as the time frame, their availability to partake in the task force.
Thank you, Leo. Yes, I think having as much structure in place as possible at the outset is helpful since this is new, and obviously it will evolve over time. But the 90 days, the 3 months, I think seems like a reasonable commitment. This can help them determine which projects, as Ms. Sosa mentioned. And then if there's still work to be done and they wish to continue their service, then that's something that we could look at it at a later date. So am I hearing folks, I know this format is a little difficult, but am I hearing that folks would like to start with 90 days? Are we thinking less of a commitment?
90 days sounds good. Do you want us to send a thumb up so you'll know how many of us agree?
If everyone could, yeah, we got thumbs up there. Okay, great. All right, then 90 days. So with the option to obviously extend that later, depending on project assignments then.
So how many times a month should they meet then? If they're gonna be serving for those 3 months, should we have them meet maybe twice a month? Because I think once a month might be a little bit, it wouldn't be enough time for them to actually, I don't think it would be anything, it would be much time for them to get anything actually accomplished. So I think maybe 2 times a month might be a little bit more reasonable. But what do you all think as far as how many times a month we want them to meet?
I personally would recommend that they get to determine this amongst themselves. I mean, the folks that we're talking about are, you know, they're volunteers and they have lives, you know, both professional and personal. So I'm reluctant personally, but I think it's a good topic to discuss how often they would meet. So if we did it bi-weekly, then they would meet 6 times in a 90-day period.
I would recommend twice a month, and if it's not necessary to meet the second time, they can determine at that time.
I'm just saying, who's going to police any of that? I think that if they want to do it, they'll meet as much as they need to. I kind of on board with Ms. Penza as far as how often they would like to meet, since it's no one's going to police how often they're meeting. They're just kind of, if they've got an objective that they need to meet by a certain time frame, I'm assuming that they'll figure it out, and also their schedules and all that. So
Is one of us going to be on the board? I know I volunteered. I wanted to be on it. So like that, I don't necessarily like the word policing, but at that time when they're first.
I'm sorry, I'm a defense attorney, so sometimes I say those things.
What I was going to say is that originally they might want to meet more because of, you know, to get to know it, or they might just decide that they need a little bit of time. So if we just set a 2, and then let them decide once they meet. But I know I want to be there. I really want to be very involved with this committee.
Okay, so just to recap, we've talked about setting their meeting intervals. We also need to decide, are they going to be reporting back to us at our advisory committee meetings, our board meetings once a month? Or are we going to wait until they've had their period of service for the 90 days to report back?
That would not be a bad idea for them to give us an update, but if they feel that they're ready to come, maybe we should leave it up to them. We're ready to go to the board to present something. And whoever they decide to be the chairperson can contact Mr. Guerra or you if you want an update. That's just a suggestion.
No, thank you. I'm really just asking here because, like I said, I'm just, you know, concerned about putting too much of a burden on folks,
Yes.
you know, attending meetings, keeping up with things. So like I said, I do know that there needs to be structure in place to just help them, some recommendations, but again, not certain. So it sounds like our recommendation would be then that that they serve 90 days. We recommend minimum 3 meetings, right? So that would be once a month. But we encourage them to meet more often to fulfill their project goals. Or do we want to mandate the 6 meetings, the biweekly meetings.
I would like to recommend the 2 meetings, and if they don't feel it's necessary to meet, they don't meet. And leave it up to them. Hey, it's too soon. Let's just meet once, then we'll meet twice the next time. Leave it flexible for them because, like you say, they have schedules. And they're going to accommodate us, and we're going to accommodate them.
Does anyone
What
else want to weigh in on that?
what about if they just report to the like as an agenda item to the board once, because then that would mean that they would have to meet at least once a month, or we would know what's going on with their projects, or if they just want to report just the beginning and at the end, I don't know, and then they can. This is just a suggestion also, and I'm just trying to think what if I was a person on that task force, what kind of people are going to be on this task force, what kind of time are they going to have.
What if
I don't
we
know.
let them report at the midpoint, so at the 45 days, so that way they can already have some time to already have some sort of work established by the time they give us a midpoint project update, perhaps, and
I
then
like
the
that.
final report at the end.
I think
I
that
like
works. That's a good. I think that's a really good compromise there. Mrs. Ayala, what do you think about that? Do you like that idea that that we ask them to report back at the 45 day and then 90 day, and that so that would be their formal reporting to the library board, and then they can meet as you stipulated semi-monthly. Basically, recommendation is to start off every 2 weeks, but if they need to meet more or less, they have that flexibility.
I like it. I like it. It's a good suggestion. For midpoint, we can more or less get what they're doing, and maybe we guide them if they need some assistance at that time. I do like that idea. 45 days.
Okay. Does this seem like a reasonable expectation then to move forward with a motion then to request the 45-day check-in and the 90-day reporting with a length of a period of service of 90 days?
And that they will be meeting bi-weekly or determine whether it's necessary at that time, if you want structure.
Okay, can we get some thumbs up or some, because I can't see the head nods. Okay, great. All right. Thank you all so much for your patience. This is new territory for all of us. But I do think it's worthy to spend a lot of time up front on these things, because they are going to be questions that come back to us and come back to the library as we start inviting people to apply. Okay, is there any further discussion or action that you all would like to take at this time on number 7? We need to move forward here. We're already pretty far into our meeting time. Okay, so number 8, agenda item 8 is our, we have a guest presenter on the Southmost Storybook Trail. Ms. Cynthia Lizardi Burlett has been an educator for over 30 years, and she also is a librarian. And she's going to be presenting her idea for imagining this storybook trail along the Southmost Trail. Cynthia, are you with us still?
Yes, I am. I have class. There are so many opportunities. I wanted to jump in. Pick me. So thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here. I've had this idea of a storybook trail for quite some time, and it's evolved in my mind as well as on paper. And I am a certified librarian, not a practicing one, but I am a learning librarian. I think that many of you here on this board can associate with that as far as time and change, that we are constantly learning and making the necessary pivots, if you will. I had approached Jennifer Williams. I'm not certain if you recall, she was the director of education for the Children's Museum, about this idea. And little did I know that, I guess moments after we had engaged in this conversation, that she was going to be leaving. And so this idea sat in the shelf, and it just seems like not too long ago that I spoke to Miss Nurith about this, and she had made mention about the Southmost Trail. And so the idea just changed. And what an idea, I thought, because of the area, one Southmost, which I have been an educator at Porter for over 30 years and love the community. And the other is that the trail neighbors, or I'd say educational facilities neighbor or butt up to this trail. And with the learning of the extensions, the Southmost Library, I'm like, this seems to be a good fit. And why is that? Well, you have, just in the name of itself, a storybook trail. We have the trail, or we have trails. We have access to storybooks. We have community. So there's going to be this engagement to promote literacy. And the ideas can just go on and on as far as what it can become, as far as the additions. I can see a rock garden nearby, and a teacher taking a class out to one of the installments. And so my idea is where it doesn't necessarily have to be some huge project, but we can take it in doses. And to me, it would be so practical for all of the elementary schools to get together in something like this, and these installments be rotated periodically. If there's 4 elementaries, it can be where they rotate by season. So that pretty much is what it is in a nutshell. I don't know if Ms. Nurith is still here and if she would like to add as far as information concerning the Southmost Trail.
For those of you, sorry, I am here, but I'm making dinner, so I'm not going to put on the video.
So sorry.
For those of you who are not aware, no worries, who are not aware of the Southmost Trail because you live in other parts, right now the trail connects, basically starts on International next to Porter, and it goes all the way to Southmost in the corner of Morningside, where Del Castillo Elementary is. The City Commission has been approving contracts so that they can start the second phase, which will connect the Southmost Library to Garza Elementary. And so they already have a planned route, but they're working on it in phases. And that's where we're at right now. Hopefully we'll get the second phase, I guess, hopefully this calendar year or maybe by next year. But that's all.
Thank you. So when you made mention about the task force, I was approached by an individual, and I think the reason too why I was approached was because they heard of this idea, and it will take community, and I like the idea of there being the public library, there being schools that surround this trail or are peppered throughout this trail. Yes, you know, we hear of trails and it's bikes and joggers, but here we have another component that we can augment the trails that we have. And so I have the idea of the Southmost Trail because of the proximity to schools. Now, is that something that would suit Southmost Public Library or the Brownsville Public Library system? This is where I say that architects, teachers, they do planning, and with plans come changes. And so I just want you just to have an open mind of this that I have before you, even with the full version of my presentation. These are just ideas put on paper and hoping that it will just interest people in wanting to see to its fruition. And yes, right here gives you an idea of what is out there already. It's not new. It would be new to Brownsville.
Thanks so much, Cynthia. We shared this link here, so if you all would like to look at this abbreviated version of her presentation, you can click the live link in the chat. We can also email you the link to the full presentation, which is much longer and really fleshes out the objectives behind a storybook trail. Were there any questions from the group for Ms. Cynthia while she's still here?
Yes, this is Rachel Ayala. I would certainly like to commend you. I'm very excited. I'm a retired assistant superintendent, so I'm very excited for our kids. Especially
my heart was pounding just, being on here, and then hearing your voice. Oh, I just like, oh, I know this voice.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
It's great because we can coordinate it with this committee that we're forming for the Southmost Library, and Mr. Guerra can get together with BISD to help you coordinate whatever we can. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Your voice.
Thank you. No, I've approached Parks and Recreation Director, Ms. Damaris, and I've also approached a board member from BISD who, at the time, and I'm not certain if he still is in charge of curriculum and instruction, and so it has piqued interest. Damaris is aware of what storybook trails are, and so she seems eager. Thank you.
No, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Cynthia, thanks so much for sitting through our deliberations on the task force. Of course, you may know by now that your name did come up last meeting as someone who would be, we would encourage to apply. So please keep a lookout for that application to be posted.
Will do. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy.
Okay, so our next agenda item is to talk about that LSTA Texas Reads grant, the One Book, One Community that Ms. Golonsky already brought up.
Yes, and this will be presented by Chase Fund, who was really excited about this, and you will see that we're looking forward to hopefully definitely applying for it with your consent, but hopefully getting approved. And more to come. Chase?
Hello, good evening. To everyone here in attendance, thank you so much for taking time and allowing me the time to present to you all about this amazing opportunity. My name is Chase Sunt, and I am one of the librarians here with the Brownsville Public Library System. I oversee currently the children's and young adult collection for both branches, and I'm so excited that we hired a new librarian that's going to be kind of like my counterpart. So we're work together and continue developing amazing programs to impact our amazing community. But today, I definitely want to spend today talking about this amazing grant opportunity that can provide funding to fund a program that is providing a literacy bringing together with the entire Brownsville community. And so that grant is the Library Services and Technology Act, LSTA, and the Texas Read Grant Program. Next slide, please, Maribel. This grant is awarded to support public library projects that engage participants in different literacy activities within local communities. And it's an award that is given up to $10,000. The projects that are assigned to this grant may target the entire community on which the grant is awarded to, or a segment of the community. For this particular grant and this opportunity, when applying, we would like to see if we could look towards a strong partner who has already shown amazing support through various programs, not just with us here at the Brownsville Public Library System, but also with the city in Brownsville as a whole, and that's the Housing Authority, City of Brownsville. And so the program in mention, like Ms. Golonsky brought up graciously, next slide, Maribel, is a program I like to call the One Community, One Brownsville, One Read. It's similar to the NAA Big Read program, where we invite the entire Brownsville community to kind of come together as a whole and enjoy the joy of literacy through a one book program. The book that is being up for proposed is Carmela Full of Wishes, written by Newbery Medal winning author Matt de la Pena and Caldecott honor winning illustrator Christian Robinson. The book encompasses a young girl going on errands with her brother through the local community, and throughout the adventures they kind of see things that they can reflect on. So they see a laundromat, they see a banderia, and most importantly, it shows positive representation of the Latino, Latina, Latinx community through not just illustrations, but through the story and its words. I think, as we may all be aware, and if you're not, this is something new to learn, publishing as a whole is majority white. When you look at percentages of books that are being published, 60% of children's books are published about inanimate objects or animals. And then the next 30% books are published about white characters. Living in a community where we have such a diverse culture and diverse group of people, it's amazing to see books that show that positive representation and is needed in all libraries. So the idea through partnership with this grant with the City of Brownsville Housing Authority is to distribute a copy to a family, potentially look at a virtual author visit by Matt de la Pena and potentially also Christian Robinson, and then obviously provide different things. And one of the things that we've been very successful here at the Brownsville Public Library that has taken off since closing has been our Take and Make crafts, which provide kids and adults the opportunity to show their creative side and creating a craft through different things. And so the best thing I can talk about this is whenever we start reading, it's always a journey. And the most important part is that we do it together. So when we bring the family together and it's a family activity, we're sparking a joy that can ignite something within not just ourselves, but the future generations of Brownsville to kind of promote the joy of literacy. And literacy encompasses many things, but we want to make sure that we do recognize the foundation of literacy, and that's bringing it back to reading as a whole. Thank you so much. I look forward to any comments, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy at this time to answer them.
Thank you, Chase. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Any questions on that grant program or the book? Anything from the board?
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. Where's the author from?
The author is from LA. He currently lives in New York, in Brooklyn. He has been down several times to the Valley to do presentations and stuff like that. I had the opportunity of meeting the author and illustrator at the 2016 Newbery Award ceremony. And that's kind of how I formed that relationship between the author and the book and everything.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
So does this seem like something the board is in favor of the library pursuing this LSTA Texas Reads grant? We've already heard from Chase on what their recommendations are, and we heard from our commissioner, Ms. Golonsky.
I'm definitely in approval of any grant money we can get. It's for the betterment of our kids, our community, and I'm excited about it. And I'm very glad that it was recommended.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm seeing the happy faces and the thumbs up here in our reactions. So fantastic. All right, so we can move on then to agenda item number 10, the discussion and action on borrowed material, borrowing limit and circulation period.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present before you. My name is Lisa Rodriguez, and I am the Technical Services Supervisor. I am coming to you today with recommendations for updating our borrowing limit and circulation period. Next slide, please. As you will notice, our current checkout limit per borrower is 7 items per card. We are recommending that it be moved up to 14 items per card. This will not only help in increasing circulation statistics, but will allow us to maintain the best possible service for our patrons and overall patron satisfaction. We currently have one of the lowest number of checkout limits with other libraries similar in size, so it is important that we increase to better accommodate our patrons and match or compete with other libraries in the area. Next slide, please. Here we are showing on the left our current checkout periods for library materials. And on the right, we are recommending the following updates to the checkout period for the top 5 items listed. The first item is the new books. We are recommending that they do from 14 days to 28 days to match what currently other books circulate for. Then we have the electronic ebooks and e-audios. We're requesting that they be moved from 14 days to 28. And this includes new and bestseller materials, and the collection has increased, allowing us to be able to provide longer checkout periods. The next item is the video games, from 5 days to 7 days. Video games take a while to compete as there are many stages. This will allow the users the opportunity to be able to do so. The DVDs and the Blu-rays from 3 days to 7 days. This is one of the most circulated items. We wanted to match video games to allow individuals and families to be able to have the time to watch movies together. Then we have the CDs from 3 days to 5 days, and that's to be consistent with the media above matching the DVDs and the video games. By updating the recommended checkout periods above, we will help in optimizing a better experience for our patrons. This concludes this presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. On the new books, I would like to know, and please guide me because you're more savvy on that technology than I am. On the 14 books that they would be checking out to 28 days, do we have enough books that we are not going to keep anybody if they're out for 28 days?
Yes, ma'am. We have 325,000 items in the collection.
Okay, but is there a particular book or something that they need? Is there just one of each, or do we have several copies?
It depends. If it's a bestseller, we might have anywhere from 3 to 4 copies, but we also have the ebook and e-audio version online, so they can check out either or.
Okay. Thank you for
you're welcome.
letting me know.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa. Are there any other questions about the extension of the borrowing limit and circulation period?
I like your recommendation. I know you probably have research as to why you say other are doing. It's not a problem, we can go ahead and approve it. And if it doesn't work, we can always come back on based on your recommendation and how things are going.
That is correct.
Okay, can we have a motion then to extend the borrowing limits and the circulation periods?
I make a motion that we go on the recommendation from library services as to improve the circulation of books.
Thank you, Mrs. Ayala. Can we have a vote on that?
Aye, yeah.
Great. Thumbs up, I'm seeing, and an aye. Great.
If it's okay, can we do it immediately, starting tomorrow? Or do you want to set a time?
Does anyone have an objection to starting sooner or later?
I made the motion, and if you already research it and you feel this is for the betterment of everybody, we can do it effectively tomorrow if you're ready to start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Lisa, for presenting on that. As a librarian, I can say that, yes, encouraging those circulation statistics is an excellent thing on the reporting side, but also to allow, especially right now when people are not able to take full advantage of the in-person library experience of browsing the shelves, to be able to have more items at home for longer. To me, it makes good sense. So I'm glad that the board agrees with that.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Ayala, the moment that you've been waiting for, item number 11, talking more about this discussion of how we can coordinate better with BISD.
Well, I did the initial contact with the area superintendent for library services, and she directed me, and she has appointed Dr. Ude in the school district to work with Mr. Guerra, and I will go ahead and communicate with Mr. Guerra today. I'm sorry, tomorrow, as to the information he needs, and so we can also get a copy of, I would like to see the copy of what is available for the kids. Because with this pandemic, they need the greatest help. It's very hard on teachers, administration, and students. And if we can assist the community, that would be wonderful.
Yes, Ms. Ayala, and Mr. Chase has more information on that, on this collaboration.
Okay.
Hi, good evening again. So yeah, no, I do agree, Ms. Ayala, that definitely kids, teachers, administrations definitely do need all the assistance they can receive. And most importantly, I think this is a time where we as librarians can provide non-typical library services, just because a big part of growing up in development is that social interaction, which I think kids, especially at home, may not be receiving just because of safety guidelines that are put into place, not only to protect themselves, their families, but also the teachers and administrations as well. So currently, I'm in collaboration with old librarians that I grew up kind of with from Hannah High School to kind of talk to see what services libraries are currently offering for their students, and seeing where we can kind of fill the gaps. What I kind of got from them is this recommendation where we don't want to kind of like overshadow them and their efforts to providing services for their students, but kind of work in collaboration where we can provide, like I said, those missing gaps and fill them in to provide better services and see what we can do to offer. Currently, right now, I am doing a service called Check Out Librarian. It's a little bit of a pilot program where I am working with students to provide tutorial help, but also talk about library services. And like I said, also have that interaction that I think students definitely do need, that they're missing from that social interaction that they would normally get if we were in pre-COVID times. And so the idea is, continue that collaboration, work to see if we could provide newsletters to students, continue providing our digital resources through tutor.com, through Mongo literary services, but also not just our students, but also our adult learners, because we want to make sure we don't forget about them. And so we have different databases and learning tools in place through Knowledge City and Universal Class that provides different ways of people learning new hobbies. I think during this time we have seen like an increase of hobbies, whether it's like crochet, knitting, planting, different things. And like I said, this is a perfect opportunity for us to really elevate our services and provide those non-traditional services that I think we as librarians kind of or libraries have been known to provide, and kind of step away just from that basic book service, and looking at how we can provide, like I said, those services to better suit the students and any future learners.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. And I think I'm excited to hear about the newsletters that you will start sending out to go to parents, to go out to the students. And also, I know that they'll be bilingual because you're saying we also need to reach the adult community. And if I can definitely be of any service to contact or assist you, please do that. I'm very excited about this particular area that we're working on right now.
Yeah, we would appreciate any assistance and stuff like that. So I'll definitely be working with Mr. Guerra and see if we can definitely get this moving forward. Because like I said, this is definitely trying times for a lot of people, and we want to make sure that we're creating not just a safe space, but a brave space for our places where people can kind of come in, like not when they're not be able to come in, but still get that full library experience, and thinking about how, instead of bringing people to the library, how we can bring our services to them in a safe and still educational way where, as we as a library, we want people to be able to discover, imagine, explore, but most importantly, find themselves through our services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chase. Were there any questions or comments for our librarian, Chase, before we move on? I guess that's a no. All right, thanks so much. Okay, so now we've moved to new business, item 12 on our agenda. And these were, again, Ms. Ayala, your recommendations for discussion with the board members.
Yes, we had, and Mr. Guerra last year in Bangkok, we discussed this. The entrance to Southmost Library, I have missed it, I don't know how many times, because it's really not visible or attractive. You have, unless you're really looking up, you miss that sign and you can have an accident. So this is one of the things that I would like to see start now, as soon as we can, is to somebody, Mr. Guerra, with the city, to design something bright, either a low wall bright that they can see, and in the bottom, just like we have one on the Central Library, on that it is a library. I know you have two entrances. You have one in the back, and but that's way in the back in the neighborhood. But we need to put something that now that we're really are using just curb service, but even then, we need to make sure that it is visible. And how can you assist us and the city manager on this, of making this it's been discussed forever and nothing has ever been done. What is going to make it get done is my question.
Yeah, that's something that we can definitely bring up with administration. Perhaps the task force can help us, maybe a better sign, maybe a traffic light that, there that they can, or maybe something, a street marking. But definitely, we definitely look into it, Ms. Ayala. I agree with you that something needs to be done. Obviously, it's nestled, the entrance is nestled in between two properties, so it is, if you blink, you miss it. But we can look into it and see what we can to accommodate that.
Mr. Guerra, with all
Yes.
due respect, this is not something that should go to the committee. This is something that is necessary for the library right now. So when
Okay.
we are able to finally open, and right now we have just a curbside. This is something that you've been discussing since last year, and nothing has been done. I would like to see some action. Who are we going to be able to contact to do this?
Most
Because
definitely.
too much time has gone by, and I'm excited about it. The things that you're doing, that's wonderful. So we want to highlight. They know how to get to you.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know how to be able to go in there because that's very important. And I'm excited about going to see the library of changes that you say have taken place. So it can happen like yesterday if we can work on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You make me very happy to do that. And the kids in that library and the parents.
Pardon me?
I said you would make everybody very happy in that community.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I
the
like
next
the idea of
thing,
perhaps having the signal light right at the entrance. I think that would be perfect so that we could use the entrance to like because it is very hidden from the southmost road. So I mean maybe perhaps we can look into that, having an actual signal light at the entrance. I don't know if maybe that could be possible, but I think that would probably be the best way to highlight that entrance through Southmost Road.
well, I think you bring up a good point, Ruby, because it's also for the staff that are making turns coming out of that parking lot. So, I mean, even as a staff member, I remember a couple times passing up that driveway to turn right into, but it is a really congested area. So, yeah, if there could be some kind of, yellow lights or something, some accommodation to let people know to slow down for that entrance and exit, that'd be great.
And that's something that we don't have to wait for any task force to meet. That's something that the city could start working on. Again, I can approach them, or also who do we need to meet to suggestions for visibility signs that are going to be going in there. A low brick fence, something pretty.
Most definitely.
So, Ms. Ayala, you also had here a discussion of accessibility of community and using library facilities in place for both Southmost and Central libraries.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to see something in writing because I know that because of the fact that I volunteered for Friends of the Library, we have wasted space that was not being used by the community. And I question that in the Southwest area because in the Central Library, they have a reading room there that the community goes to use. And I am asking, well, why can't we do it over here? Because I know that different, let's say, different the schools. Let's say that they want to have a meeting for the community. Know that they're not able to use it. I don't understand why. This is a community building, so I want to see something in writing. What are the availabilities? What do they have to do? Why is it that we do it for one library and not for the other? So that is something that I think we just need to put in writing. And I think it can be utilized by the community because it's not having the optimum use other than you just use it when you have voting. Other than that, it's just empty space. It's wasted space that could be used for maybe kids want to have a meeting there from one of the schools. Could they go ahead and use it? It's a community center. Why is it that they cannot be used? Or if it is, I don't know what the liabilities are, but why is there liability on one library and not for the other? So I would just like to see something in writing. So when this committee meets, the task force, they can go ahead and coordinate efforts and put it the same for everybody.
Most definitely, Ms. Ayala.
Okay. Okay.
And the next one is yours as well, the discussion of the budget allocation, which I think you alluded to earlier.
Yes, ma'am. I had requested a budget allocation for the Southwest and Central Library, and what I got was a budget for all for there was no breakdown. There was no breakdown in terms of what goals had been set for the Southmost Library, what goals had been set for the Central Library. There was nothing to indicate what technology was replaced, what was done, furniture, nothing. When preparing a budget, you need to prepare and I won't tell you because I was shocked as to the amount of money in this budget, and I certainly didn't see it used in the Southwest area. I would like to see for the help also for this task force. There needs to be a separate budget for the Southmost, needs to be a separate budget for Central Library. There needs to be also a list of equipment that is being updated and replaced, not having the Central Library's computers sent over to the Southmost. And a perfect example on the what I'm concerned with, and I haven't seen it, Juan. You haven't invited me, but I haven't gone. There was just one little copy machine for the whole library, and it needs to be more accessible. So that's what I would like, that uh, separate budgets, and it needs to be ready. What goals were set for last year? Were they attained? What goals are going to be set for this year, so that that committee can say, hey, they didn't attain. Now we're going to do it in this year's budget. And so, like that, there can be communication and improvement in both libraries equally.
Yes, ma'am. On the goals, if you don't mind, we'll discuss that in the next item, but let me answer the budget. Traditionally, or history, the library as a department from the city gets one budget, and then it divides depending on need. Let me just give you a history. Normally, the budget consists of 60%, normally, average, 60% on staff expenditures, 20% on collection development or the books or anything that the public will check out, and then 20% for other allocations. And the information that we sent the board, it was called the Task Analysis Report. And in the last page, you had a breakdown of the 2019, if you wish to see it. Again, traditionally, it's just one budget. I can relay the message to city administration that the board is recommending possibility of breaking down the Southwest and main branch. Obviously, the staff is a little bit different. The staff is all together because we interchange staff back and forth based on need. But if you care you look at the last page of the Southwest Analysis Report, it'll tell you an idea of what was spent both main and southmost. But again, traditionally, it's broken down into 60, 20, 20 for all the budgets for every year. That's how the budget is break down. That's been done ever since I can remember. It's never been done it's one department. It's not divided by branch because of the staff component. We move staff back and forth. And then the goals, if you don't have any questions on the budget, the goals will be discussed by Ms. Balboa and Mr. Trevino.
Mr. Guerra, I worked for one of the biggest entities south of Texas, which is Brownsville Independent School District. Our budget is millions of dollars. We have, I don't know how many campuses. Every campus has their allotment, and they decide what it is that's going to be done. And then it's not grouped together. The fact that it has been done traditionally doesn't necessarily is that has been done as should be done. This is one of the reasons that you couldn't monitor how much money was allotted to, because I got the whole budget. I didn't want the whole budget. I wanted a breakdown of Southmost, Central Library. When the administration submits the budget for their campus, they submit what their needs are and what it is that they're going to get. And over here to both Central, that has not been done. This is why we can't monitor the amount of money that has been spent in the Southmost and the amount of money that had been spent on the central and why certain things had not been done. And Mr. Guerra, with all due respect, I've retired 8 years ago and I was a volunteer. And I can assure you that I certainly did not see anything done at the Southmost. I certainly did not see any money done. But I'm not going back to past things. What I would like to do is more of the same is not working. So what I'm recommending and should be done is that there needs to be a separate budget. This committee needs to see what the needs are for Southmost, what the needs are for the Central Boulevard. And Central has had so many updates that definitely money needs to be allotted for the Southmost area to be up to par. Your technology person told you we're in this pandemic, a lot of challenges. We are having to do but technology and things like that. And honestly, the Southmost Library does not have it. So I'm saying more of the same is not working. So what we need to do is to look at it, and I would like to see if you have the budget. And I wanted to see when you determine the budget for Southmost, how did you determine how much money was going to be spent and what you did for Central? Yes, I understand on staff. I also saw the Southmost Library understaffed. Staff was always being pulled to the Central Library. There was not anybody over there at all. So, like I said, I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to improve services for our community. And like I said, more of the same is not working. So when this committee starts working, they can go ahead and they're going to look at both libraries to be able to make it up to par to what it should be. And like I said, all of us in this community, all of us in committee are here for the betterment of the city. No particular area is going to have more than others. So this is what that's why I wanted discussion. I have yet to get anything as to what I asked of separate budgets, what equipment was improved, what equipment was replacing. That should be when it was ordered, it should be labeled. I mean, everything should be accountable. So that's all I'm asking for. I'm still asking for a separation of funds, and you should be able to get it according to budget, because their budget numbers regarding different things with technology. It should be very easy to do unless it hasn't been done.
Okay, I again, in the Southern analysis, the last page, it breaks down item categories as to what was spent on each library. We can work on, it will take time, we can work on the 2021 after the year is over. And then moving forward, I can relay that to city administration if a budget breakdown can be done.
Well, what I want to do, Mr. Guerra, is I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. You should have right now for 1920, what were your goals? What were your updates? What did you accomplish? So like that, if you know that, then you can plan for 2021.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And the next item, the next item will address that.
Well, no, I'm still asking, where is it that what you had for 2019, 2020? Where are your written goals? What was accomplished? What was replaced? And that's, if there are on different budgets, it's just a matter of inputting and printing it out. Is there anything in writing?
Yes, ma'am. I understand, not to belabor the point, if you, let me have the ladies discuss the goals for 2019 and 2020 on the next item. So that way I stay with the agenda. But definitely, your recommendation would definitely, we'll look into that.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to look into anything. I just want a copy of what you already have for 2019 and 2020. It should be there already.
2019 you already received, but I'll gladly send it again. And the 2020, I'll send it to you as soon as I can possibly have it. Yes.
Okay. If I have any questions, I'll call you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so am I to understand then that Ms. Brenda Trevino then is going to present on the discussion of the goals?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So the library team has been working on completing our work plan, which consists of specific goals for the library. Tonight, Josie and I will touch on some of the highlights from last year and some of the goals we've completed this year on or in the process of completing. For 2020, we took some time to continue developing our team's customer service skills, especially given that the library was closed. So we took this time and advantage of one of our databases, Knowledge City, and library staff were able to take some web-based courses on customer service. We were also able to complete some renovations at the Southmost Library. Some of you got to visit and take a tour back in November, so you were able to see the new colors that we've added to the walls, as well as the new carpeting of some of our rooms. We also added new lighting that makes a huge difference in how bright the library is now. Another goal we were able to accomplish last year was our inventory at both libraries. The last time we had completed a full inventory was back in April 2013, so it was definitely time to perform another one. And our records are now updated, which makes it easier for our patrons to browse our catalog. It took the team 1 month to complete the inventory at Southmost and 3 months at the main library. Next, we had our summer reading program that had to be completed and was technically reimagined given COVID. It was very different than what we're used to, but we were still able to reach out to our community. Keeping to safe practices, our program went virtual, mainly through Facebook and YouTube. We were able to keep some of our traditional practices, and our patrons were able to pick up gift bags and prizes that we awarded to those that completed the program via curbside. Another program that we reimagined or had to modify was our Pictures with Santa, which became Christmas Under the Canopy. We converted our original program at both libraries to abide by safety practices due to the current pandemic to a drive-through event. And to keep with some of the tradition, library staff took pictures of Santa and Mrs. Claus, at a safe distance, of course, with families inside their vehicles. In return, all of those pictures were then uploaded to the library's social media accounts for easy access, so patrons were able to look and download their pictures. Gift bags with books, toys, candy were distributed to all of the attendees, including the adults. And so after that, we also held a raffle where the winners were notified through phone calls, and they were able to pick up their prizes via curbside. We continue to be relevant to our community by keeping them engaged with some of our regular programming, such as story times, robotics, observatory, and planetarium presentations. We were able to have a few of these sessions in person prior to COVID, but since then, we simply turned around and converted everything into, or what we could, into virtual presentations. We were also able to keep assisting our patrons through virtual assistants, or what we term lib answers, and patrons are now able to acquire a virtual library card so they can check out our e-collection. Currently, we've completed a few of our 2021 goals and are in the process of tackling the pending items. Just a few of the goals we've completed are rearranging the collections at Southmost to have more defined areas and a better workflow for our patrons. We were also able to add new carpeting to the Central Library's main meeting room, and currently it's in the process of being painted, so there will be no more wallpaper in that room. Of course, another one of our items on our work plan was the community task force, which is in process, as are the summer reading program. So we definitely learned a lot from last year's summer reading program, and we're going to do some adjustments. That way we can improve it this year and hopefully get more people to participate. And so we'll try to continue to be innovative and in creating and expanding our programming to feed the needs of the community. Most importantly, we continue to adapt to the times that we're in right now. That's basically it. Josie, I don't know if you want to add anything else?
Hi, all. Yes, Brenda, that was a mouthful. As Brenda said, we've been working very closely together, and those were some of the goals that we were able to accomplish. And I know one that's not on there is teamwork. That's one of the biggest things that we have really been able to accomplish. With COVID, we've been able to collaborate with a lot of our staff members and getting everybody's ideas because we do need to innovate and evolve. And just as Brenda said, we have our regular programming, and what else can we do to elevate what we have just to make sure that we serve our citizens? That's all I have.
I do have a question. As far as your goals, I commend you for what you're doing for the community, and but I also want to know what goals were accomplished as far as improving the technology at the southmost area. I know you went ahead and hadn't been done before, painted some walls, painted some, changed some carpets, but what what was done in that area?
Technology-wise, Miss Ayala, at this time, we still have our same computers.
Exactly. The same computers have been there for years. And also and other things. You see, I wasn't the aesthetics, which was that the library was very drab. Uh, but the other things have not been done. This is why I'm saying, and again, I'm going to reemphasize that there needs to be written goals for both libraries because making it pretty doesn't mean that the resources are there. And I know for a fact because I have been at that library. I've been there, cleaned out a friend's library was used as a junk room twice, and other things, and that is my thing for that area. And the thing is, I'm not negating not to do anything for the central, but what are we doing for Southmost for that? So I know if you can give me that or send it to me exactly how did we improve in that area, I'll be excited to see it.
Well, every year, Miss Ayala, we do go ahead and come up with a new work plan, so that can definitely be one of the items that may be able to be placed on there.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, ma'am, thank you. I hope you place it. But what was done for the year that you reported? I want to know what you did then. I don't want to know what we're going to do in the future. I want to know what you did. And that's the only way you're going to do is, to do some sort of analysis. How long have they been there? What is it that we need to upgrade? Aesthetics is fine because, like I said, I'm a little bit when you say better lighting. Why did it take so long to do better lighting in that library? I mean, something that should have been done a long time ago. And like I said, I want to see a breakdown again. What was done to upgrade as far as the technology, computers, everything that's available for them. Because I did meet with the parents from Lopez High School, and they went there, and of course they were not excited about what they saw there at the Southmost Library, or the fact that you have to travel 12 miles to be able to go to the Central Library, which they don't have the access to be able to get on a bus to go all the way over there. So I just am concerned. Please show me, just show me. If you're telling me we have 2020, whatever the budget it is, then show me what you did to improve those areas. And the other things are being in place, but what was done? Because in order for this committee that we're going to organize, in order to be effective, they need to have all this information. And I would like to see it. If you're telling me, hey, we've done it, then show it to me. It's not just a matter of showing.
I believe, as Mr. Guerra had stated, he has the work plan, and on the side it'll tell you what's been completed and what's been pending. So perhaps maybe once you receive that, you can go ahead and take a look and see what matches the areas that you're concerned about.
Well, I'm concerned because you're already telling me that you've already done all these things. But what have you done? What have you completed? And I'm not necessarily saying you, okay? I'm saying the library system, please. As far as having upgraded all of this, I mean, it shouldn't be. It should be just a matter of bring it out. Hey, bring it out. Go to the computer budget. So much was spent on this upgrading this and this. When was this doing? You're telling me it's going to be done. I don't want to know what's going to be done. That's what the committee is going to work on. I want to know what was done in the past couple of years to do that. because they need to know what the challenge is going to be to being able to put money into that, to being able to do that. Because the central library will still be up to par because they've been receiving all the money.
Miss Ayala, if I could just interject 1 second. I totally understand what you're trying to express here, which is that the budget is supposed to be a planning document as much as it is supposed to be a reporting. And I think you might have missed our email that we got before last meeting. It is a PDF document that I understand Mr. Guetta is going to resend to you with the work plans. And it is broken down in the way that you're asking in terms of the coding of Southmost Branch Library and Main Library, who's responsible for these items, the projected date of completion, the status, and then they've also added another column to that with COVID-19 that lets us know how these work plan elements have been impacted by COVID or if they have not. So I think once you see that, you're going to feel a little bit better. I know that this isn't something that has been done in the past. I believe, this whole evaluation is part of the total alignment that the entire city is going through. And so, I hope once you see that document, you'll see that there is greater transparency there between maybe not the funds, since we're not a fiduciary board, but certainly the activities that the library is taking in order to improve services, facilities, programming. So, I think that your concerns are well-founded. Especially when you point out that the library system total has a large budget. And we just want to make sure as committee members that we're advising with as much information as we can possibly have without getting into the specifics of telling the city of Brownsville how to handle their budget process. So I think that there is maybe, we have some work to do, but it sounds like everybody's interested in more transparency and talking these items through. So I appreciate you bringing them to everyone's attention. I certainly appreciate the library staff for compiling this and trying to convey it in a way that makes sense to us as well as to you all. And you're right, there's a lot of work to be done, but we're not going to get it all accomplished tonight, even if we try.
Ms. Pensa, thank you so much. I think you put the right word. Perhaps I wasn't able, the transparency. That's exactly what I want, the transparency. And believe me, I see the staff that works here at the library both, and they're very hardworking. I have nothing but, and I since I retired 9 years ago, I see that. I see them pulled, I see them stretched, and no, I have nothing. It's this is from the top, it flows down. So thank you. You just hit the nail on the head, the transparency, and I'm sure things will be more transparent. Things will be more workable, and I thank everybody for their hard work. There's nothing on it, and I'm there to help whatever I can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, my goodness, you all, this has been a very long meeting. Are there any questions or comments before we move from the items listed there on 12?
And Ms. Penn said, no way am I telling the city what to do as far as her budget is concerned. I mean, they have the hands full. All I know is what was expected of me, and bottom line, it starts at the top, and and it flows down, and the transparency be there. Thank you very much for having put into words for me.
Thank you so much. We know that that you're really passionate about this, and it's only coming from a place of genuine love for your community. So thank you.
Right. We're all about kids, and I love students, and I want to have I want to have the best community in South Texas. I want to be proud of them, and we are a part to help them if we can. Thank you very much, because I do love kids. Thank you.
Okay, would anyone else like to comment, or shall we move on for a motion to adjourn?
I would make motion to adjourn.
Anyone want to second the motion to adjourn tonight?
I second that motion.
Okay, so our meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. It's 7:20, and thank you all for your time today.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you for being here today.